Well, hello, and thank you so much for joining me at another episode of Treasury Talks, where we discuss all things economic and finance across public entities like Delaware. I am so excited to have with us Eric Ochmanek from the National ABLE group that we have at NAST, National Association of State Treasurers. Eric, I am so excited to have you because August is Able to Save Month, and Delaware's ABLE program and platform has actually grown quite a bit over the last few years, and we want to see it continue to grow. And I'm really excited about the role that you now have at NAST. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to this new position with NAST, how this position kind of came about, and how you, Eric, sort of evolved to take on this position?
Sure. Well, Treasurer, thank you again for having us on today on behalf of the National Association of State Treasurers. It's always exciting to be part of the state treasuries and be part of the grassroots communications on our public policies we work on. My name is Eric Ochmanek again, and I actually worked for the State Treasurer's Office of Ohio for about 7.5 years. I was in my role as Deputy Chief of Staff that I learned about what something was called an ABLE, right? At the time, it was just an acronym. But going through our focus groups, going through how we built our program, I learned a very valuable key to what ABLE was. And it was that we needed to get the information out to people with disabilities. And so as my role in the leadership team, I helped to work with our STABLE team, which is the Ohio ABLE program, and our public affairs office on doing outreach. And it wasn't just having people do outreach. I myself was inspired by what ABLE could do and the financial opportunities that brought people with disabilities. I myself have traveled to every single of the 88 counties in Ohio 3 times over. I've done presentations all across the state, and I've traveled nationally speaking at conferences. So I think some of that led into when NAST decided to move forward and having a national perspective and a national effort to bring more support for all the ABLE programs. I applied for the job, and I'm thankful that Sean and the NAST team brought me on.
I am too. I'm so excited that you have joined, and that you're a resource. It creates that continuity between our state programs and across the nation, and helps us on the state level to connect with one another and learn from those lessons learned that are so important to helping to promote the plan. Can you talk a little bit, because I think this is key to our outreach and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about the history of the ABLE program, maybe how it came about, and some of the ways in which we're working to continue to amplify it?
Yeah, one of the reasons why grassroots communication works so well to get information on ABLE out is because ABLE itself started in the kitchen table and started as a grassroots public policy lobbying effort by families in Virginia. And it was then where partnerships were formed in Washington, D.C. with other disability groups that they started going on and lobbying Congress, saying people with disabilities live and work in communities, they have jobs, they're in elected offices, and for some reason they're stopped and have obstacles for their financial empowerment. Having a person with a disability that's on independent service programs that provide them improvements in their life, like SSI or HUD or Medicaid, having only $2,000 doesn't lend itself to doing anything besides planning your finances month to month. And so these families and this national organizations for different disabilities got together. It took about 10 years in Congress, but finally in 2014, the act was signed by President Barack Obama. It's named after a family that was at that first kitchen table in Virginia, the Beck family. And for us, right away, I think any ABLE program will say, the best part about ABLE and getting people to sign up about is doing the presentations, talking one-on-one to families, talking one-on-one to people with disabilities, just like the movement started back all those years ago.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty phenomenal when you hear about how families coming together just to try to help support the individuals that they love so much. how impactful it can be. I will say it is probably, and you could probably agree with me, but it's a little frustrating how slowly we go sometimes. But again, I'm really excited because I really think that we're sort of changing the tide. As far as ABLE today, can you talk about why NAST determined that it was important to create ABLE today?
Well, I think one of the best parts about it is because the state treasurers themselves believe so passionately about ABLE, right? If you look at Washington, D.C., there's all the different conversations on both sides of the aisle. But one good piece of public policy that shows that both parties can come together and people can work together is ABLE, right? I mean, ABLE accounts do exactly what the government is supposed to do. It helps people, right? And that's a great example for people to go out there and saying, this piece of public policy actually does impact people in a positive way. So I think the state treasurers themselves who endorsed ABLE and want to support the programs, I have to also say that ABLE programs in the country, which the only place all the ABLE programs do work together and do help each other out, is at NAST. And I think between the state treasurer support and the need from the programs to have a greater national perspective, ABLE today kind of formed organically. I have to thank and appreciate Wells Fargo for coming to the table. Wells Fargo helped with the founding grant for this program. It enabled us to have a great team. So one of the other members of their team is Sarah Hart-Weir. She's the former president and CEO of the National Down Syndrome Society. She's been a great advocate. She herself lobbied for the ABLE Act before it was signed. And then Mark Raymond Jr., he's an individual with a disability. It happened after the age of 26. He cannot have an ABLE account, but he's a New Orleans advocate for people with disabilities. And he just wants other people to learn about it. So I have to say, between our team and just what NAST wants to accomplish, which is promoting great financial tools, it really happened on its own. I'm obviously happy to be here.
You definitely have some powerful people in your corner in the two of them. So that's really phenomenal. Where can people go to find more resources? Where's the best place that we go as state treasurers, and are there more resources coming out that will help us to sort of promote ABLE in our states?
And so one thing we did right away for NAST is we decided we needed to build a brand for ABLE, right? If we talked about, the Ohio ABLE program or the Delaware program, there's all these different programs out there. So we created a new brand called ABLE Today, and we built a new website called abletoday.org. It's ABLETODAY.org. And the website is really a repository for all the different ABLE programs. On that is history of ABLE, which talks about some of the families from the kitchen table. It talks about how the lobbying efforts happen. We also have a great resource for how the federal agencies actually determine benefits and interpret ABLE funds. So for example, Social Security has policies, Medicaid has policies stating how they will interpret and work with people who have ABLE accounts. For anybody who's doing any work with us, there's also a great page. It shows every single state program in the country. It talks about how someone can enroll in the program. It talks about maybe their legislative bill. It shows that the person can have an account in the state, tax benefits. For me, my favorite button, there's a button called Partner with Us. And I can't say this enough. We've really appreciated people pressing the button and emailing us saying they want presentations. Because again, I used to do it before COVID, right? We'd drive around and go talk to people face to face, and now we do these webinars. But having a chance to explain what an ABLE account is, how people can sign up for it, and giving them a chance to ask questions of us and us answering their questions, I think is just a wonderful opportunity for partnerships. I hope folks press the button that says partner, and we have a chance to talk about ABLE with them.
Where are we going with ABLE? What are the next steps? What can we kind of expect down the road, and how should we continue to advocate together for some additional things that you guys are trying to get done?
First, my main goal every single day, along with NAST, is trying to figure out how to raise the brand for ABLE, right? So every single day, we're going to work to try to bring ABLE to the national perspective for people with disabilities. So that's something that's going to be everything we do, every conversation we have, the partnerships we gain. So that's why ABLE Today is so important in supporting all the ABLE programs. But legislatively, we actually have a chance to increase the number of people who can have an ABLE account. Currently in Congress, there's the ABLE Age Adjustment Act, and it's something that's been discussed since really the first programs launched for ABLE back in 2016. This bill that would raise that age from 26 to 46, and it would increase the number of people who could be eligible for an account by probably about 6 million more people with disabilities across the country. And why that number is so important is because it would include about 1 million veterans who have disabilities. So for us, for NAST, our NAST members, we believe very strongly that it include more people who can have an ABLE account, more people who could have the opportunity for financial empowerment, and also would help the programs with more long-term sustainability as more and more people do join the programs.
And so essentially the ABLE Age Adjustment Act would now be including so many of them in that higher age range over 26 who acquired their disability, in the line of duty. So I think that's it's really something that is worth advocating for. I'm happy to help you guys and really excited to try to get this done. Well, Eric Ochmanek, thank you so much. This has been very, very enlightening and so much fun. I'm really excited for the work that you all are doing. It's monumental and it's life-changing. So thank you so much.